The volatile contents of Hunter Biden's laptop were the October surprise of the 2020 presidential election, and the New York Post had the inside story. Here was the first evidence of Joe Biden's involvement in his family's lucrative foreign influence peddling operation, and it threatened to capsize his campaign. Donald Trump called it the laptop from hell and made it a feature of his campaign rallies. But a coordinated censorship operation effectively buried the exposé, and Biden easily skated into the White House. This is a tale of corruption in America's most powerful family, whose intense loyalty is their greatest force and their deepest defect. As the damage control began to take shape, over 50 former U.S. intelligence officials, including former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, weighed in on the story in October 2020 by publishing a letter they had all signed, stating the New York Post article was a result of Russian disinformation. Another major revelation involving the expanding deep state cover-up centered around big tech companies, including Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Discord, Wikipedia, Microsoft and LinkedIn, and they met with the FBI and other government agencies every month, before and since the 2020 election. Facebook even set up a special portal for takedowns that requires a law enforcement email to access. The process is also outlined in emails between DHS officials, Twitter, and the NGO Center for Internet Security. While meeting, notes show that the government called on tech platforms to process reports and provide timely responses, to include the removal of reported misinformation from the platform, where possible. Among them was the revelation that 2 FBI officials were involved in high-level communications with Facebook to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. Laura Demlow, the section chief of the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, and Elvis Chan, a special agent in the San Francisco field office, are the 2 persons named. The factually true story, published in October 2020, was denounced as Russian disinformation by Democrat Joe Biden and most corporate outlets, and the New York Post was suppressed on both Facebook and Twitter. Another document from March shows Demlow telling Twitter executives that subversive information on social media could undermine support for the U.S. government. There is also evidence that shows Election Security Initiative Director Jeff Hale urging the use of third-party nonprofits as a clearinghouse for trust information to avoid the appearance of government propaganda. If a foreign authoritarian government sent these messages, there is no doubt we would call it censorship, Nadine Strossen, former president of the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, told The Intercept. In another example of how the media has been complicit in burying the Hunter Biden laptop story for so long, CBS News refused to report the obvious by stating that such allegations could not be verified. But not until after the recent midterm elections has CBS changed their tune. They are faced with mounting evidence by forensic experts that the data on the laptop is real. With images of Hunter's credit cards, his driver's license and his social security card, only a small part of the sheer volume of verifiable identifiers, it would be difficult if not impossible to fabricate these items. There is also a voicemail recording on the laptop, apparently from Joe Biden himself. Mr. Biden has consistently denied any knowledge of his son's work and the existence of the laptop. He also denies financially benefiting from any of Hunter's business dealings. Tony Bobulinski, one of Hunter Biden's main business partners who received an email in which he stated to CBS News, the 10 held by H for the big guy is shorthand for 10% held by Hunter, for his father. CBS News has finally come around to verifying the Hunter Biden laptop as real, but is it just too little too late? It is likely CBS knew the claims were true for over 2 years, when the story by Miranda Devine first broke in the New York Post. But at the time, CBS said they couldn't authenticate it. Instead, they waited 2 years until after the 2022 midterms had already happened, before they finally admitted they were wrong. One should keep in mind that CBS News had no problem presenting many unverified stories about Donald Trump and Russia connections, which turned out to be total hoaxes. In these cases, the incredibly high journalistic standards that they claimed to adhere to were entirely bogus. Despite the collusion between the mainstream media and the U.S. government to bury the truth, it is not so important to look at what Hunter Biden did in his activities with prostitutes and drugs and all the felonies that he committed, but what is most significant is the evidence that Joe Biden was complicit in the crime of influence peddling and directly compromising the security of the United States. These are the accusations that those protecting Joe Biden have tried to deny from the moment the laptop story first surfaced. The New York Post did a good job of not just going after all the salacious porn videos that are out there, but also their steadfast perseverance in focusing on the relationship of Joe Biden himself with the Biden family criminal enterprise. As the whole scandal begins to increase in intensity, just as it did with the lead-up to the Watergate affair, involving President Nixon from so long ago, some of Joe Biden's defenders are reaching panic mode and beginning to throw the current president to the lions. Going forward, with the majority of the House being handed over to the Republicans soon, it's going to be almost impossible to ignore all the complicity and all the lies. The typical response will likely be that of plausible deniability, which will not save the Biden crime family from ultimately being convicted. With ever more citizens outraged by the misconduct, according to James Comer, committee Republicans have spoken with multiple whistleblowers from numerous schemes involving the Biden family, reviewed Hunter Biden's laptop and received documents of previously unknown transactions. On November 17, in Washington, Republican members of the U.S. House of Representatives announced at a press conference they will launch an investigation into the activities of U.S. President Joe Biden. James Comer, who is expected to become the next chair of the House Oversight Committee, made it clear by stating, "This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct an investigation." Comer added, "This investigation will be a top priority." According to him, committee Republicans have spoken with multiple whistleblowers from numerous schemes involving the Biden family, reviewed Hunter Biden's laptop and received documents of previously unknown transactions. "What we found are business plans aimed at targets around the world, based on influence peddling, including with people closely tied to foreign governments, like China and Russia." Comer added, "We also found plans based in the United States where the Biden family swindled investors of hundreds of thousands of dollars, all with Joe Biden's participation and knowledge." In 2019, shortly after announcing his campaign for president, Joe Biden told the American people he had nothing to do with it, and never had conversations with his family about their business dealings. That was a lie, Comer emphasized. This evidence raises troubling questions about whether President Biden is a national security risk, and about whether he is compromised by foreign governments.